Mayataya ma yipare aka ayang the poet the di jango Trolina lela on pure pibabi. Ini yata maundu ha badule sora celebrate pure babe.
Last evening, the Sayadaw has clarified the importance of the body work of the chariot as an essential component of a vehicle, and especially so as an essential component of this Eightfold Noble Path, this noiseless chariot. In fact, it was made very clear that sati or mindfulness is that body work that will give you the protection needed. Today, the Sayadaw will talk about who, or rather, what the driver of the chariot represents.
Yata maundu garo chamo pau mega samadhi babe.
He represents none other than the right view of the Noble Path.
Edi mega samadhi ale tuye shi dwa mashi be ne shi bi mashi be ne phit yu mashi ba u tuye shi bi pa ya aw ma tuye shi bi soda garo Vipassana samadhi ba be solo da garo mega samadhi yashi ye ma Vipassana nyan phit ya me Vipassana nyan phit so ma mega samadhi phit de lo di lo solo ba
The right view of the Noble Path cannot occur without first going through a preliminary part. And this is called the preliminary right view, which is a synonym for Vipassana right view. This, of course, implies that it will not be possible for the right view of the Noble Path to occur without the support or without the completion of the various stages of Vipassana insights.
Bila Vipassana nya lauk da piet song pi do mai nya ma phit thei lo shin le be takae beyan kin ne abhyati sa le be ma yauk naing thei ba bu.
And even having completed the Vipassana insights, one will be unable to arrive at the safe haven of Nibbana without going through this right view of the Noble Path.
Vipassana samadhi ka le အခုလိုခြေခံသီလပြည့်စုံပြီးတော့ဝိရိယထားပြီးတော့အရှက်ကြောက်နှမျိုးပေါ့လေဒါလည်းပါဝင်ပြီးအမြဲမပြတ်ရှုမှတ်နေမှဖြစ်နိုင်ပါတယ်
Vipassana, Dhamma, Vipassana, right view, can only occur when one has set the two wheels of physical and mental effort moving, and you're well supported by the backrest of Hiri and Ottappa. This, of course, practically means that there should be persistent and persevering energy in your practice so that you can maintain continuity of mindfulness from moment to moment.
ပြီးတော့သီလလောက်ပြည့်စုံဝိရိယတတိလောက်သာပြည့်စုံပြီးတော့နေပြန်လို့ရှိရင်လည်းပဲသမာဓိတိကမဖြစ်တော့မောင်းသူမရှိတဲ့ကားလိုပဲကားကြီးတော့ကောင်းနေတာပဲယဉ်ကြီးတော့ကောင်းနေတာပဲအစစရလည်းပြည့်စုံနေတာပဲတက်စီတို့ဘာတို့ကအစပြည့်စုံနေတာပဲဒါပေမဲ့လို့မောင်းသူမရှိလည်းပဲဒီကားကမရွေ့ဘူးသူတဲ့ခီးလည်းပဲမရောက်ဘူးတိုင်းဒီတိုင်းပဲကားကြီးရတော့
If you have the two wheels moving, you have effort and you have also mindfulness, but in the absence of right view, you can be compared to a car or a vehicle without a driver. A car may be very well designed. The wheels may be very good and efficient, and the body work fantastic. But without a driver, it won't get you anywhere.
ဒါတတိုင်းမှာကဓမ္မသမာဓိဋ္ဌိဟာရင်မောင်းသူပါပဲမှန်စွာမြင်ခြင်းဆိုတာပေါ့လေဒါရင်မောင်းသူပါပဲအဲဒီရင်မောင်းသူနဲ့တူတဲ့သမာဓိဋ္ဌိအမျိုးအစားကိုဒီနေ့နည်းနည်းခွဲပြပါဦးမယ်
So by now you should be able to understand that the charioteer, the driver, is actually a representation of right view, which is the driver of this magnificent and noble chariot of the Eightfold Path. Tonight the sadhaka will talk on the different types of right view.
အဲ့ဒီသမာဓိဋ္ဌိဟာကျမ်းဂန်များမှာပြထားတာတော့6မျိုးရှိပါတယ်အဲ့ဒီ6မျိုးဆိုတာတော့တိကမ္မစကတာသမာဓိဋ္ဌိ2ဉာဏသမာဓိဋ္ဌိ3ဝိပဿနာ3ဝိပဿနာသမာဓိဋ္ဌိ4မေဃသမာဓိဋ္ဌိ5ဖလသမာဓိဋ္ဌိနဲ့6ပိဋကခန္ဓာသမာဓိဋ္ဌိဒီ6မျိုးပါပဲ
ကမ္မစကဉာဏ
ကမ္မစကတာဉာဏVipassana, Mega Pala, Pachokana.
The scriptures tell us that there are 6 types of right views. The first is right view with regard to karma as one's own property. Second is right view of with regard to the jhanas. Third is right view with regard to Vipassana. And the fourth is right view with regard to the path consciousness. The fifth is right view with regard to the fruition consciousness. And the sixth is right view with regard to the reviewing knowledge that comes after the fruition consciousness.
အဲ့ဒီ6မျိုးတွေကကမ္မစကတသမာဓိဋ္ဌိဆိုတာကုသကအကုသကံတို့ရဲ့အကျိုးပေးဟန်တွေ့ရတဲ့ဖြင့်ကောင်းရင်စာဆိုရင်ခံရမှာပဲဆိုတဲ့ဒီလိုအတိကိုအမြင်မှန်ကိုကမ္မစကတသမာဓိဋ္ဌိလို့ခေါ်ပါတယ်
Right view with regard to karma as one's own property is the belief that whatever good or evil that is done will give rise to corresponding good and evil consequences.
ဉာဏသမာဓိဋ္ဌိဆိုတာကတော့ရူပအရူပစံရှင်းမျိုးနဲ့ရှင်တဲ့အမြင်မှန်ကိုဉာဏသမာဓိဋ္ဌိလို့ခေါ်ပါတယ်
Jhana samadhi, or right view with regards to the jhanas or absorptions, refer to the view or the knowledge that arises in conjunction with the 8 types of jhanas, the rupa jhanas and the arupa jhanas, the form, the absorptions of form and the formless absorptions.
အဲ့ဒီဇဏသမာဓိဋ္ဌိပြည့်စုံရဲ့ဆိုင်ရာဗြဟ္မဘုံမှာကဘာနဲ့ချီပြီးတော့တက်တန်းရှိရှိနေရပါတယ်ဘဝအကျိုးပေးပါတယ်ဒါမှမဟုတ်ဖဲနဲ့ဉာဏ်လမ်းပဲဥပဿနာလမ်းကြောင်းပဲຫນွယ်လို့ရှိဥပဒနာရဲ့အခြေခံဖြစ်နေပါတယ်ဘိညာဉ်လမ်းပဲသွားလို့ရှိရင်လည်းပဲဘိညာဉ်တွေရနိုင်ပါတယ်အဲ့ဒါလိုအကျိုးတွေတော့ပြထားပါတယ်သူက
The benefits of having this sort of rupa samadhi or jhana samadhi, right view with regards to the jhanas, are threefold. One is one can gain rebirth in the Brahma worlds after death in this world. And one will be able to live for a very long time in the Brahma worlds, for aeons, very many world systems. The second benefit is that these jhanas could be made the basis, the foundation for developing Vipassana. And the third benefit is that these jhanas too can also be made the basis, the foundation for the development of abhinyas, of psychic powers.
Mega samadhi, plus samadhi, Pechakana samadhi, the samadhi, Tomi, you are two atonibu, Maloabu.
The fourth, fifth, and sixth sorts of right views with regard to the path consciousness, to the fruition consciousness, and to reviewing knowledge that arises after fruition consciousness, are things which we do not need to work for deliberately.
Atoyama, Loloya Pagaro, Tongumia, Tatia, Vipassana samadhi, Pio Atoya Pava, Poya Pava.
The thing that we have to spend much time and effort in developing and deepening is the third of these 6 types of right views, and that is Vipassana samadhi, right view with regard to Vipassana insights.
ဒီတော့ဒီနေရာဌာနမှာသမာဓိဋ္ဌိဘာယူမလဲလို့ဆိုတော့ဝိပဿနာသမာဓိဋ္ဌိနဲ့မေဃသမာဓိဋ္ဌိဒီနှမျိုးကိုယူရမှာပါ
မှန်ပါ
ဒီယထာမုံသမပေါ့လေယထာမုံသမအနေနဲ့ဝိပဿနာသမာဓိဋ္ဌိမေဃသမာဓိဋ္ဌိဒီနှမျိုးကိုယူရမှာပါလို့
The driver of this Eightfold Path vehicle represents two types of right views. The right view of Vipassana and that of the path consciousness.
မေဃသမာဓိဋ္ဌိမိမိတဏ္ဍာမှာဖြစ်ပွားစီလို့ရှိရင်အဲ့ဒီရဲ့ရှေ့ပိုင်းပုရိဇဝခေါ်တဲ့ပုဗ္ဗဘာကမဲ့ဝိပဿနာသမာဓိဋ္ဌိဖြစ်အောင်လုပ်ပါလို့ဒီလိုဆိုလို့တယ်
What is meant here is that if you are interested in the occurrence or the activation of right view with regard to the path consciousness, then you must work on the preliminary part, which is Vipassana right view.
အခုယောဂီများဟာဝိပဿနာသမာဓိဋ္ဌိမိမိတို့တဏ္ဍာမှာရှိခုစွာဖြစ်ဖို့အတွက်အားထုတ်နေကြတာပဲ
The yogis participating in this course are actually working on the development of Vipassana right view within their own self.
အထုတော်ရှိဥစွာတကယ်ရှိနေတဲ့ယုံနာနှစ်ပါးကိုပိုင်ပိုင်ခြားခြားသိလာတယ်။ပိုင်ခြားသိတယ်ဆိုတဲ့ကောကပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တ attva အစွဲရှင်းသွားပါပြီကင်းသွားပါပြီ။တကယ်ရှိကိုအရှိတိုင်းမြင်တော့တကယ်ရှိမတွေ့လို့ရှိရင်မရှိတဲ့ဟာကိုအရှိလုပ်ပြီးတော့ထင်မှားထားတာလေးတွေပျောက်ကွယ်သွားတာပေါ့ရှင်းသွားတာပေါ့
In the process of developing this Vipassana insight, one of the first steps is to gain an understanding of how the nature of mental and physical phenomena differ, to be able to distinguish between mind and matter. When one is able to do that, one can be free from any clinging to wrong views. Once you see that there is only mind and matter and nothing else besides that, you will be able to let go of any misconceptions that you have with regard to the nature of reality. Seeing what really is, seeing things as they really are, you will be able to do away with the extras. You will be able to cleanse yourself of the view that there is that puts something into reality which in fact is not there.
အဲ့ဒီလိုအခြေခံပထမညာလေးဖြစ်ပြီးဆက်အားထုတ်နေရင်အကြောင်းနဲ့အကျိုးဆက်ဆက်ပြီးတော့မြင်လာတယ်မြင်လာလို့ရှိရင်ယုံမတန်တရားတွေကင်းသွားရောအ ကြောင်းပဲဖြစ်တယ်ဆိုတဲ့အစွဲအကြောင်းမဟုတ်တဲ့ဟာကိုအကြောင်းလုပ်ယူပြီးတော့ယူတဲ့အစွဲအဲ့ဒီအစွဲတွေလည်းပဲဒုတိယအခြေခံအနေနဲ့ကျင်းသွားတယ်
The second fundamental step is to gain an understanding of the mechanism of cause and effect that relates all physical and mental phenomena. This interdependent relationship, if understood, will be able to clear any doubts that you may be harboring. Seeing that things arise out of given causes, out of particular causes, you will be able to discard the misconception that things happen by chance. And seeing that there is an interrelationship, how things are caused into being, and how that also will cause other things into being, and so forth, you will be able to discard the wrong view that things are created into being by an external force.
အဲ့ဒီလိုဆက်ရှုနေရင်ကြောင်းကျိုးဆက်ယုံနာတရားတွေပေါ်မှာဖြစ်ပေါ်ပြီးတော့ကွယ်ပြောက်သွားပုံမရဲပုံသိလာတယ်ပေါ်လဲပြောက်လိုက်တဲ့ဆင်းရဲပုံအာကိုစရာမဟုတ်ပုံကြောက်စရာကောင်းပုံတွေလည်းသိလာတယ်သူသဘောတိုင်းသူဖြစ်ပုံတွေလည်းပဲသိလာတယ်အဲ့ဒီကစပြီးတော့ဝိပဿနာသမာဓိဋ္ဌိဖြစ်တော့တာပါပဲ
Deepening your meditation, you can now begin to realize that, or you begin to see very clearly in your mind's eye, so to speak, how things come and go, that every object that you look on, that you're observing, arise and pass away from moment to moment. Nothing lingers for more than a moment. It is a constant stream of change, of comings and goings. As you look at that, there is an intuitive understanding that everything is impermanent. It is impermanent precisely because it comes, it arises and passes away. It arises and passes away from moment to moment in an endless way without any stop. And as you look at that, you may certainly be struck by a sense of desperation, that there is no refuge at all. There's nothing that you can hold on to. It is so ephemeral, so transient, so slippery. It just comes and goes, and there is nothing at all that you can cling to. Nothing to rely on, nothing to depend on. You are struck by this sense of fear, of suffering, that indeed to be oppressed by all these transient and impermanent phenomena is great suffering. It is a sort of suffering which you realize from the bottom of your heart. And then again you can understand merely by looking at how things arise and pass away from moment to moment that there is no self involved, there is no one there. There's nobody who is pulling any strings. The things are occurring according to their own natural laws. Things come and go due to conditions, and there's no one there who can do anything to control or manipulate any sort of movement. So it dawns upon you that everything is not only impermanent and suffering, but also that there is no self within them. when you are able to understand this very intuitively, not through any sort of not through any sort of deliberate reflection or thinking, but in a very spontaneous and intuitive way, this is the start or beginning of Vipassana right view.
ဒီတော့ဒီလိုဥပဒနာဉာဏ်นี่ဖြစ်လာတယ်ဆိုရင်ပဲအဘိယဒိစာခေါ်တဲ့နိဗ္ဗာန်စီဖြောင့်မြောက်ကြီးမြတ်ထားကြီးဟာရွေ့ရှားနေတာပဲဘာဖြစ်လို့လဲဆိုတော့ဒီဝိပဿနာသမာဓိထိဖြစ်လာပြီကိုဖြစ်လာပြီဆိုတော့လမ်းကြောင်းမှန်မှန်ပေါ်မှာဓမ္မယထာကြီးနိဗ္ဗာန်စီရှေ့ရှုပြီးတော့ရွေ့ရှားနေတယ်လို့တူတာပေါ့
When this very fundamental right view, Vipassana right view occurs, it is like the chariot that is ready to go. It is moving, it is shaking a bit and moving as it faces the path of the right road that leads to Nibbana. ဒီနည်းနဲ့ပဲဆက်ပြီးတော့ရှုနေလို့ရှိရင်ဝိရိယလည်းနှစ်ဘိန်းလိမ့်နေပြီတတိကလည်းပဲနောက်ခံဟိရိဥဒ္ဒဘနောက်ခံကလည်းကောင်းနေပြီပြီးတော့ဆွဲမြဲတဲ့တတိကလည်းအမြဲတမ်းရှိနေပြီဆိုတော့အဲ့ဒီလိုတရားတွေအရှိရအပြည့်တဲ့အပြည့်တိုင်းဥပဒနာဉာဏ်လေးတွေကတစင်ပြီးတစင်ဖြစ်လာတယ်ရိတ်ကလေးပေါ်ရိတ်ကလေးပြောက်ခတ်တွတ်သိလာတယ်တရားနဲ့ကုံဆုံးပြောက်ပြက်ပုံတွေသိလာတယ်ဒီလိုနဲ့ပဲဥပဒနာဉာဏ်တွေအစဉ်စဉ်တကားလေးတက်လာတာအဲ့ဒါနိဗ္ဗာန်စီရှေ့ရှုပြီးတော့ဒီတဖြည်းဖြည်းရွေ့ရှားပြီးတော့ဒီမေထားကြီးမောင်းနှင်နေတာပဲဝိပဿနာသမာဓိကပဲမောင်းနှင်ပေးနေတာပဲ So having started your engine, you can now start to really turn the wheels and get the vehicle moving. So the two wheels of physical and mental energy shall have to be kept moving, shall have to be rolled so that the chariot can move forward. And the driver must also be well supported by his backrest of hiri and ottappa. And of course, with mindfulness acting as a protective armor, and the driver is well seated, then you will be able to drive along quite well on the way to Nibbana. This practically means that after gaining an insight into the characteristics of impermanence, suffering and non-self, you begin to see how things arise and pass away even much more quicker, much more clearer. The moment-to-moment arising and passing becomes microsecond, very quick. And the deeper you go, the quicker they become, and eventually you will not even be able to see how they arise. You will just be able to see this whole flash of quick dissolving, of dissolution, one after another, passing away so quickly, like somebody is pulling the carpet under you. And as you go deeper, going through the various levels of Vipassana insights, you are driving closer and closer to your destination.
အဲ့ဒီလိုဥပဒနာသမာဓိထိရင့်ကျက်ပြည့်စုံသွားလို့ရှိရင်ဖြစ်ပြမစအငြိမ့်တဆိုတာဘာလဲခုနအဘိယဒိစာဆိုတာအဲ့ဒီတည်းကမဂ္ဂသမာဓိထိနဲ့မျက်မှောက်ပြုရောက်သွားတော့တာပဲ
Upon the completion of all these various stages of Vipassana insights, the right view of the past consciousness will then take over and lead you to the safe haven of Nibbana.
ဒီနေရာဌာနမှာပေါ်လွင်အောင်ဆိုပြီးတော့လောကီဥပမာလေးတွေနဲ့ထုတ်ဆောင်ပြီးတော့ပြထားတာလေးနည်းနည်းရှင်းပြရစီ
At this point, Sayadaw feels that it would be useful if an example is used to further explain these two types of right views.
Vipassana samadhi ကလည်းပဲသူအစွမ်းတတ္တိရှိသလောက်တော့ပိုင်နိုင်စွာရှိမိတဲ့ယုံနာခန္ဓာတွေပေါ်မှာကိလေသာအစွဲတွေရှင်းတာပါပဲဒါပေမဲ့လို့အပြတ်မရှင်းနိုင်ဘူးမေဃသမာဓိထိဖြစ်သွားမှာပဲကိလေသာတွေကိုအပြတ်ရှင်းနိုင်ပါတယ်အဲ့ဒီအပြတ်ရှင်းနိုင်တဲ့မေဃသမာဓိထိဖြစ်မှာတကယ်ဉာဏ်နိဗ္ဗာန်ရောက်နိုင်ပုံလေးတွေပေါ့လေလောကီဥပမာလေးကဒီလိုပြပါတယ်
Although Vipassana right view is able to keep the kilesas at bay, although in the presence of these Vipassana insights, the kilesas do not have any chance of arising, of infiltrating into the mind. They are not really uprooted. They are kept at bay, but they are waiting outside. It is only when the path, right view, occurs that the kilesas are uprooted. Certain classes of kilesas, of course. And the example is to clarify these two functions.
အခုကာလအာနာပိုင်းဘယင်များသမရမင်းများပေါ့လေမိမိဒီနေရာနန်းတော်ကအိမ်တော်ကပေါ့လေထွက်တော့မယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ရှိဥစွာဝန်ထမ်းတွေကပေါ့လေရေကာကွယ်ရေးဌာနတွေပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒီဌာနကဝန်ထမ်းတွေကလမ်းရှင်းရတာရှိတယ်လူလူလတ်လတ်ကြည်သွားရအောင်လမ်းရှင်းဖို့ပြီးတော့ဘုရင်တို့သမဏတို့ထွက်လာတဲ့အခါမှာလောက်ကျန်တဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေကဗောလေဘုံနေပါတွေထောင်ထားလို့ရှိရင်လည်းပဲဒီဘုံနေပါတွေရှင်းဖို့ပေါ့လက်ပြဘုံနေပါတွေအဲ့ဒီလိုဘုရင်သမဏထွက်လာတဲ့အခါမှာအနှောက်အယှက်မဖြစ်စေအောင်ရှင်းတဲ့အနေအချင်းပယ်ရှင်းတဲ့အနေအချင်းပထမဆုံးလမ်းရှင်းရတယ်
These days, when heads of states leave their palaces or presidential residences, there is a lot of preparation involved, preliminary preparation. Before the presidential car or motorcade can leave the official residence, there will be teams of personnel who are charged with the duty of making sure that the route of the motorcade will be kept clear and safe. So you will have security agents and the FBI and so forth going forth to make sure that nobody plans any bombs along the way, making sure that there is proper crowd control and that the road is clear of vehicles.
နောက်မှသမထဘုရင်ကထွက်လာတာ နတ်တော်ကနေပြီးတော့အိမ်တော်ကနေပြီးတော့ဗောလေထွက်လာရတာပဲမှာ
And when all these preparations have been made and everything is okay, everything appears to be safe, then the president or the head of state will leave his residence and start out in the official car, in the state car.
ဒါလိုပဲဝိပဿနာသမာဓိဋ္ဌိကယုံနာနေပေါ်မှာမမြဲပုံဆင်းရဲပုံသူဘောတိုက်သူဖြစ်ပုံဆိုတဲ့အနေနဲ့တွားချက်ပေါ်မှာဖြစ်ဖြစ်တဲ့ယုံနာခန္ဓာတွေကိုအစွဲတွေတစင်ပြီးတစင်ပေါ်လေကင်းသွားအောင်ရှင်းရတာအဲ့ဒါလို့ရှင်းပြီးလို့ပြည့်စုံပြီးတဲ့နောက်ပိုင်းမှာမှအရိယမေဃသမာဓိဋ္ဌိကဆိုင်ရာအနုတ္တိယကိလေသာတွေကိုခါတဲ့ဓမ္မအပြတ်ရှင်းပြီးတော့ဖြစ်ပေါ်လာတာ
In the same way, on this Eightfold Noble Path, the Vipassana right view will be the outriders. They will clear the path. First, make the preliminary preparations, clear all sorts of clinging, all sorts of clinging to wrong views and to pet theories, misconceptions, and so forth. Through this insight into the characteristics of impermanence, suffering, and non-self. And this clearing process takes place in various stages, various levels. And when all these various stages have been carried out, all these preliminary preparations are complete, then the Noble Path right view will make its appearance and uproot the kilesas.
ဘယ်ကိလေသာကိုပယ်တော့ဆိုတာတော့အဲ့ဒါလေးတော့နည်းနည်းဘုဒ္ဓတာဖြစ်ပြောရအောင်မယ်
What sort of kilesas are uprooted? Sayadaw will talk on this in order to clarify this point.
ဟိုအတိတ်ကဖြစ်ခဲ့တဲ့ကိလေသာတွေကဖြစ်ပြီးသားမဟုတ်လို့ပယ်လို့မဖြစ်တော့ပါဘူးပြီးတော့အကြောင်းညညအနာဂတ်ကိလေသာတွေကိုလည်းပဲလှမ်းပြီးတော့ပယ်လို့လည်းမဖြစ်ပါဘူးလောလောဆယ်ဖြစ်နေတဲ့ပြစ္ဆုတ်ပံကိလေသာတွေကလည်းပဲဥပ္ပတ္တိပင်ဆိုတော့သူတို့ကဖြစ်နေပြီပဲဖြစ်တဲ့ဟာကိုလည်းပဲပယ်လို့မရဘူးပြီးတော့အတိတ်အနာဂတ်ပြစ္ဆုတ်ပံကာလသုံးပါးမှာရှိတဲ့ကိလေသာဘယ်ကိလေသာပယ်သလိုဆိုတာပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒါစဉ်းစားစရာအချက်ကလေးဝင်လာတယ်
You may wonder what sort of kilesas can be uprooted. Since kilesas which have happened before in the past are already gone, it's not possible to uproot them. In the same way, since kilesas which have not yet appeared cannot be uprooted, so too it seems futile to uproot things which are not there. And even present kilesas arise and pass away. So how can they be uprooted?
Anutaya kilita ko pere lo so ba.
What is meant here is the uprooting of latent or potential kilesas. which are dormant.
အဲ့ဒီအနုတ္တိယကိလေသာလည်းပဲ2မျိုးရှိပါတယ်အာရမဏအနုတ္တိယကိလေသာ1မျိုးနဲ့သန္တာနာနုတ္တိယကိလေသာ1မျိုး2မျိုးပါပဲ
There are in fact two types of latent kilesas. One is that connected with objects, and the other is that connected with the continuity of existence.
အဲ့ဒီအနုတ္တိယကိလေသာ2မျိုးကို2မျိုးတည်းကအာရမဏအနုတ္တိယကိလေသာကိုဝိပဿနာသမာဓိဋ္ဌိနဲ့ပယ်ပါတယ်ဥပဒနာဉာဏ်နဲ့ပယ်ပါတယ်ထင်ရှားဖြစ်ပေါ်လာတဲ့ယုံနာအာယုန်တွေသူတို့ဖြစ်ခိုက်လိုက်ပြီးတော့ရှုလို့ဝိပဿနာဉာဏ်နဲ့မသိလို့ရှိရင်ကိလေသာမျိုးတတ်ပေါ့လေကိလေသာအငုတ်တတ်ဝတ်သွားတယ်ကိန်းသွားတယ်လို့ဒီလိုအဆိုရှိပါတယ်အကြောင်းညီညွတ်လို့ရှိရင်ဖြစ်နိုင်တဲ့ကိလေသာပေါ့လေမှာဝိပဿနာသမာဓိဋ္ဌိရဖြစ်သွားတော့သူဟာအကြောင်းမညီညွတ်တော့ဘူးအဲ့ဒီအာရမဏနုတ္တိယကိလေသာတွေငြင်းပြီးတော့လိုက်လာတယ်ဝိပဿနာဉာဏ်အဆင့်ဆင့်နဲ့
The first type of latent kilesas can be overcome by Vipassana right view, Vipassana insight. This first type actually refers to latent kilesas which are likely to occur when conditions are conducive to the occurrence. When at the moment when an object, a mental or physical object, becomes predominant. However, when one is being mindful of an object as it arises at any of the sense doors, and at that particular moment, if also Vipassana insight is present, then the conditions conducive for the arising of these latent kilesas will not be present. In the absence of conducive conditions, then, the kilesas are kept at bay. And therefore we say that at that moment, the latent kilesas which may arise when a predominant mental or physical phenomena occurs is unable to happen.
တဏ္ဍနာနုတ္တိယကိလေသာကိုတော့မေဃတမ္မာဒိဋ္ဌိနဲ့ပယ်ပါတယ်အရိယာမေနဲ့ပယ်ပါတယ်တဏ္ဍနာနုတ္တိယကိလေသာဆိုတာကတူးတယောက်သောပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ရဲ့တဏ္ဍာမှာအရိယာမေမဖြစ်သေးလို့ရှိရင်အကြောင်းညီညွတ်တိုင်းဖြစ်ခွင့်ရှိတဲ့ကိလေသာကိုတဏ္ဍနာနုတ္တိယလို့ခေါ်ပါတယ်အဲ့ဒီကိလေသာကိုအရိယာမေနဲ့ပယ်ပါတယ်
The second type of latent kilesas refer to kilesas which occur to the latent kilesas which lie dormant and which will occur when conditions are ripe, because that particular individual has not been able or has not yet been able to uproot it through the noble path fruition. Through the noble path consciousness. This it is called the latent kilesa in connection with the continuity of existence. In the continuity of existence of a particular individual, not only in this particular existence but throughout samsara, as long as he is unable to uproot these kilesas to the path consciousness, then they will always have the opportunity to arise when conditions are ripe. Now these latent kilesas connected to the continuity of existence can only be uprooted by the path, the noble path consciousness.
Vipassana making it Kilita Bebo Riya making a Kilita Bebo Jangamama Uma Piatara a fever malaria volley, Pyayoga, Sida Bogo Nayecha, the Jinja, Chatted de Bogo. Did we see that? But tomorrow, a beam charabe, Nizin, yes, a better carrot, Eli Bule Penida. Did a buiri Miadwa, 2 hours in a buri jadwa, so we do see Vima. See Peter Yade Pia Sing Yosi that is savory. See Peter Lu Pia de Piaja Mandwaya. I didn't know Panjama, Pia sees with a tower. Pia see Tolede Kama, a Pia de Chinja, a Pia Malaro, who solution or a Pia Puha, de Dwabi Michido. Pia Pia Dwabi. You know, she by my Pia Bushing the Jao, see Mamma Downey, Uba wasn't a Samadhiga, Aramananudia Gilita, Tapo, do it. Now, when Pia say Tolelu, Yecha Pia Piaha, Piatem Pomalaro, who solution or a Piamu Piatwabi, Piamu Meshido, Elaga Piamu Piataga, one at the lesser, Tanananudia Gilita, Mupia on body, Pialitan at do it.
The scriptures give us an example to illustrate these two different types of latent kilesas. In the treatment of patients in the old days who were suffering from malarial disease, from malaria, a cause of treatment is first given to level the periodic changes, periodic extremes of temperature of that particular patient. Maybe every 2 days he will suffer from a very high increase of temperature, high fever, and then there's a sudden drop and he feels very cold and he shivers. And then this pattern repeats itself again and again. The first course of treatment is to be taken regularly so that the patient can gain strength and the germs are weakened in the process. Finally, when the patient's condition is better, in the sense that this up and down temperature changes in his body are not so extreme, then a knockout medicine is given. This will be very efficient, because at that time the patient would have gained enough strength and the germs, the bacteria also would have been sufficiently weakened. And with that final dosage, he is cured completely of malaria. In this example, the preliminary course of treatment, where medicine is to be taken regularly, is analogous to this preliminary Vipassana insights, which sort of weaken the kilesas. And finally, the knockout medicine is analogous to this path consciousness, path right view, which uproots the kilesas once and for all.
အခုခေတ်ဥပမာပေးရမယ်ဆိုရင်တော့အစိုးရဌာနအသီးသီးတွေမှာရှိပါတယ်သူတို့ဆရာဌာနမှာအထက်ကချပေးလိုက်တဲ့လုပ်ငန်းကိစ္စတွေရောက်လာတဲ့မြတ်သူတို့လုပ်ရတာပဲအဲ့ဒီဌာနမှာတာဝန်ကအရာရှိဆိုတာရှိပါတယ်ရောက်လာတဲ့ကိစ္စအဝဝတွေအဲ့ဒီတာဝန်ကအရာရှိရဲ့အောက်လက်သားတွေကသူ့နေရာနဲ့သူကြည့်ပြီးတော့အလုပ်လုပ်သွားတာပဲအလုပ်ကိစ္စတော့ပြီးပြအောင်လို့လုပ်တယ်သူ့ဌာနနဲ့သူ့ဌာနပေါ်နေတယ်သူ့အကွက်နဲ့သူ့အကွက်သူ့ကဏ္ဍနဲ့သူ့ကဏ္ဍအဲ့ဒါလုပ်တယ်ဆိုတာကလုပ်လို့ပြီးတယ်ဆိုတာကတရားဝင်အနေနဲ့ပြီးတာမဟုတ်ဘူးလုပ်လို့တော့ပြီးတယ်ဆရာတောင်းကအရာရှိလက်မှတ်မထိုးရသေးဘူးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့တရားဝင်မဟုတ်ဘူးဆရာတောင်းကအရာရှိကလက်မှတ်ထိုးလိုက်တဲ့အခါကျမှဒီကိစ္စဟာတရားဝင်ပြီးသွားတယ်ဒီတော့ဆရာတောင်းကအရာရှိအစဉ်သင်းလက်မှတ်ထိုးရအောင်လက်မှတ်ထိုးနိုင်အောင်တရားဝင်နေနဲ့လက်မှတ်ထိုးနေအောင်အောက်လက်သားတွေကလှုပ်ထားပြီးလက်ဖြစ်ရမယ်ဒါမှလည်းပဲလက်မှတ်ထိုးလို့ဖြစ်တယ်လက်မှတ်ထိုးလိုက်တဲ့အချိန်လေးကဘာမှမကြာဘူးချက်ကလေးဆိုပြီးသွားတာပဲဒါလိုပဲဝိပဿနာဒီမဲ့ခင်ပုဗ္ဗဘာကမဲ့ခင်ပေါ့လေရှေ့ပြေးမဲ့ခင်အခိုက်တာမှာတော့အလုတ်တော်လုံနေတာပဲသစ္စာ၄ပါးလည်းပဲသိနေတာပဲဒုက္ခသစ္စာပိုင်းခြားသိခြင်းအပြင်ဉာဏ်သစ္စာ၄မျိုးလည်းပဲကိစ္စလိုလိုပြီးစီးနေတာပဲဘယ်တော့ပဲပြီးစီးအရိယာမမဖြစ်သေးဘူးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့ပြန်ပြီးတော့ဒီညာနေရောပါပြီးတော့အားနေပြီးတော့ပျောက်ပြက်ပြီးတော့လည်းသွားနိုင်သေးတယ်တရားဝင်မှမဟုတ်သေးပဲကိုဝိပဿနာဉာဏ်ရင်းချက်ပြည့်စုံပြီးတော့အရိယာမဖြစ်လိုက်တဲ့အခါကျမှအာလုံးကိစ္စတွေတရားဝင်နေနဲ့ပြီးစီးသွားတာဝိပဿနာဉာဏ်ပြည့်စုံလို့ရှိရင်အရိယာမဖြစ်တယ်ဆိုတာဟာခုနလောကီဥမာလေးနဲ့ပေါ့လေရှင်ပြီးတော့ကြည့်ဖို့ပါပဲ
Another example, perhaps more modern, is the work involved in the process of wanting to get an important document certified legally. Perhaps you are in need of some important document and you have to go through a whole string of departments. You have to go through this whole process of bureaucratic red tape to get it done. You go through the various channels and you have to go from one level to another, from one department to another, getting the various particulars and forms filled in and the various signatures of various officials. And even though you may have completed certain sections, that is not quite valid yet. You have completed the first section, the first department, everything is well signed, but you need that in order to go on to the second department. And you go there and you produce the first set of documents, and then you fill in another set of forms, and you hunt around for the person in charge to sign it, and you get that done, and with that again you have to go on to the next department, and so forth. You have to do a lot of work, and though each of these sections may be well done, still you haven't got a document yet. Not that it takes a very long time to sign that final document. You go out to the person right at the top, and he will just take half a second to put his signature on the document. But yet you have to go through all this bureaucratic red tape just in order to get up right up to the top and put it on his desk so that he can put down his signature. Well, this is the same for Vipassana. You have to go through a lot of bureaucratic red tape. Well, the path consciousness is even faster than the time it takes for the guy in the top to sign his signature. But you have to work for it. You have to go through the various levels of insight, Vipassana insight, and to make sure that they are well done. And finally, when everything is quite in order, then the path consciousness, the path right view will appear and certify that all the kilesas have been uprooted.
Tira Puvabaga making Kore Upatana making Karaka making the Swamawali, Lukta making the Swamawali. Yeah, making a Karabaka look see it, kind see it, making the Swamawali. With my yogi, the Karaka making it, Pimakami, the look hello near either Kulumiabu.
Well, perhaps we can call the preliminary path of Vipassana insight the worker path. You have to work hard for it. And the noble path, the path consciousness, can perhaps be called the the chief, the one who orders work to be done. So all yogis here are very busily involved in cultivating this worker path. You have to work a lot. There's no way that you can shirk.
Tawanga yashi lema thobo sara outletari lomatare sekku yi tette boli. Empty segu, lema tolum shefu. Outletari a busy lotare hago, Tawanga yashi lema mato de usology, the yawani never busy the woos or body. Nice in chibira body. A good megatama deity. The area making body, area making. Jesus boya. She by ma wasn't a making. Imitanama, Pizu near me, Soravoli, 19G, they shimmer at the other. Erago, Vipassana, she was she. Come on, do Dilo, Jangamyama, Java, Ponya, Abu Logi Umali, she also be the pure.
It is therefore very clear through this example that the very important person at the top of that hierarchy will be unable to sign a blank sheet of paper whereby the preliminary work has not yet been done. If all these the various departmental heads or concerned officials, or the officials concerned, do not put their signature on the required documents, then the final document that you want will not be valid. when you compare this example with that of working on the preliminary path as well as the noble path consciousness, you will understand their various functions, their respective functions. The scriptures, however, only give us the example of the chariot, its driver, and the outriders, or the people who make the preliminary arrangements to clear the road or the path before the king sets out on his chariot. The other examples have been given by Sayadaw. This will be all for today.